He's a gentleman, kind, and it's hard when somebody has mental health issues. There are bits of their personality that aren't necessarily the same when they're ill. But when I think of my dad, like who he was as a person when he was well, he was kind and interested, even when he wasn't well, when he was in hospital, you know, in psychiatric hospital, he was interested in and worried about the other patients. Loved to travel, and he had, you know, we lived abroad a lot, but he also went on a lot of business trips abroad, and he would always send postcards and come back with presents from where he'd been. And, you know, I've got a whole album of postcards of, you know, from, you know, when he was away, he was always thinking of us. He loved his family, definitely. I think it made us make the most of the time when we were together. Family holidays was a big thing that he was very keen on, and things like going to, you know, Christmas, he always liked to go to the West End, to go to, you know, a theatre show every year as a family. And then, you know, his actual last card to me when he was in hospital, and, you know, his brain was struggling. It took me a long time to sort of decipher his writing and so on. It was asking me to book a trip for them to the Savoy for her birthday, which we were still in lockdown. There was no, you know, we couldn't have done it. But that was what he was still trying to plan, her birthdays and things like that. Right to the end, he was, yeah, very romantic with her. We'd given him a teddy bear, which I was telling about earlier, a teddy bear for Father's Day, because it was in hospital. It was one of the only things you could think to give somebody when they're in hospital and can't eat and drink and so on. So this little teddy bear had been kind of, because his hands were sensitive to touch, had been, you know, tucked in his elbow, and the staff would always still be with him. You know, they knew that we wanted that with him, because that was one of the later, you know, one of the last things that he'd actually communicated was when, you know, I'd asked him whether he wanted me to put the bear on the side or leave it in his arm. He'd said it was okay where it was. So from then on, it was like, right, the bear stays with him. And, you know, when you're looking after somebody in hospice and you're having to clean them and turn them and put medication in them and all these other things, you know, something like a little teddy bear, to just take the time to constantly make sure that that's placed back there, that's still with him. Everybody involved at the hospice, and I mean everybody, from, you know, the nurses, the doctors, everybody you interact with, the chaplains team, the volunteers, people who were making sure that I'd eaten. Every person in that place, like, what they do is amazing. You know, the staff made me feel like I was the centre of their world, and that my dad was the centre of their world. And to know that they are doing that day in, day out, all the time, it takes such a special kind of person, and there isn't a way of thanking enough for what they do. Like, I will always be indebted to the people that we dealt with there.